Welcome to Spicy Ladies. Rock bottom teaches lessons that mountaintops never could. Some women learn this the hard way. The world doesn't hand them comfort, backup plans, or easy exits. They've been left to clean up messes they didn't make, carry weight no one noticed, and rise from places no one even saw them fall. And somewhere along the way, they stopped expecting anyone to show up for them. Not out of bitterness, but clarity. That's the essence of a Sigma female. She knows no one is coming. No one's going to rescue her from pain, pull her out of the fire, or offer her a hand when things collapse. She doesn't waste time waiting. She builds herself from scratch and keeps rebuilding when the world tries to tear her down. That kind of independence is not a trend. It's a necessity. It's survival turned into strength. Being this type of woman is not for the faint-hearted. It means walking through silence, learning how to carry your own chaos, and turning every setback into a weapon. But if this sounds like you, then know this, you're not broken. You're built differently. What you've been through didn't damage you. It sharpened you. It taught you that the most dangerous woman is the one who needed no one and still made it. You don't need to be saved. You need to keep going. You are the storm, the anchor, and the aftermath. Keep walking. You're not alone in this strength. You're just rare. Let's get started. Spicy Ladies. 1. They know some people only come to watch you sink. Sigma females have sharp eyes, not just the kind that observe, but the kind that read between the lines. They've learned the hard way that not everyone who asks, "How are you?" actually cares. Some are just checking to see if you finally failed. Some want gossip, not your growth. They wear fake concern like a mask, but their eyes betray them. Sigma's caught on early. They've seen the smirks behind forced sympathy, the subtle satisfaction when things fall apart. And that's when they stopped oversharing. Not because they're closed off, but because they're aware. When life gets heavy, Sigmas don't run to just anyone. They go quiet. They isolate, but not to suffer, to elevate. That silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's the sacred space where they rebuild in peace, away from fake applause and shallow check-ins. See, when you're glowing, people flock to the warmth. But when your light flickers, only a few stay to help you reignite it. Sigma women remember who disappears when things get real. They never forget who clapped the loudest when it looked like they wouldn't recover. And because of that, they've mastered the art of moving in silence. Let the doubters speculate. Let the fakes wonder. While others are busy watching for cracks, Sigmas are already laying new foundations. This is why their rise feels so sudden, because people only notice once it's undeniable. But the truth is, the work was done in the shadows. The healing happened in solitude. The transformation began the moment they stopped looking for genuine support in disingenuous places. So now they don't explain. They don't justify. They don't post their pain for likes. They just isolate, elevate, and return stronger. And by the time the spectators realize it, the Sigma is already 10 floors above the mess. 2. They understand people will leave when it's inconvenient. Sigma females don't confuse closeness with permanence. They've learned that someone being there today doesn't mean they'll stay tomorrow. And they've accepted that hard truth without bitterness. Not everyone who claps for you is committed. Not everyone who checks in during your highs will stick around during your lows. They've seen it. How quickly the energy changes when things get uncomfortable. When support isn't easy. When your mess spills out. When you're no longer convenient to love. That's when people disappear. That's when the truth shows up. So Sigmas don't build their emotional foundation on borrowed loyalty. They don't anchor their peace in someone else's presence. They've stopped putting their stability in the hands of people who can walk away whenever things stop being shiny. They build on solid ground, the kind that only comes from knowing yourself deeply and standing firm even when it feels like no one else is standing with you. They're not cynical. They're prepared. There's a difference. They know love exists, loyalty exists, real ones exist. But they also know those things are rare, and they don't romanticize the rare. They plan for the likely, so when someone exits their life, it doesn't destroy them. It might sting, sure, they're human, but it won't shake their core. They've already rehearsed the silence. They've already faced the empty room. They've already cried without anyone knowing. And most importantly, they've made peace with it. That's what makes a Sigma so unervingly steady. Her ability to hold herself up when no one else does. Her refusal to fall apart just because someone else fell away. She doesn't fear abandonment anymore. She expects it, and she's already accounted for it. That's not detachment. That's wisdom earned from experience. Right now, if you are still watching, I hope this video can help you. Your comments motivate me so much, so I can make more videos which you like. So hit that subscribe button and leave me a message. Let's continue. 3. They trust action, not reassurance. Sigma females have heard it all before. The sweet talk, the empty promises, the grand declarations followed by silence. They've learned, often the hard way, that words are just noise when they're not backed by action. Reassurance doesn't impress them. It doesn't calm them. In fact, it often triggers suspicion because anyone can say the right thing when the lights are on, but only a few will still show up when it matters. Sigmas don't want to be comforted with talk. They want to see movement. They want to see consistency. They want to know that what you're saying actually means something because you're living it, not just saying it. They've reached a point where they don't even demand that kind of action from others first. They demand it from themselves. They trust themselves to follow through. They trust their own hands, their own mind, their own energy. Everything else is bonus, temporary, earned. That's what separates them from most people. They don't chase clarity through conversation. They find it in results. They don't want to be told everything will be okay. They want to make it okay. And if it's not possible, then they'll accept that reality, adjust, and move forward. This mindset isn't cold. It's clean. It protects them from getting emotionally tangled in promises that were never real to begin with. It gives them focus, direction, power. So when someone steps to a Sigma woman with a beautiful story, she doesn't lean in. She watches. She waits. She pays attention to patterns, not paragraphs. Because anyone can rehearse a speech, but effort can't be faked. And the only loyalty she really trusts is the kind she can see in actions, in choices, in presence. Anything less is just decoration. And Sigma women don't decorate their lives with illusions. For they've accepted the world owes them nothing. And that shift changes everything. Sigma females stopped waiting for fairness, for apologies, for the universe to finally do them right. They learned that life isn't a deal. It's not about what you deserve. It's about what you do with what you get. They don't waste time asking, why me anymore? That question leads nowhere. They've outgrown the habit of expecting life to follow a script. Some people get lucky. Some get left behind. Some work 10 times harder and still fall short. Sigma saw that and made a choice, not to complain about it, but to navigate it. They don't walk around with a sense of entitlement. There's no secret scorecard in their hands. They're not sitting back waiting for karma to balance the scales. They've been through enough to know that if you want balance, you create it. If you want peace, you protect it. If you want power, you earn it. And that's what makes them dangerous in the best way. They move through the world without expectation, which means they can't be baited. They don't crumble when things aren't fair. They don't freeze when things go wrong. They adjust. They recalibrate. They keep going. People expect a reaction from everyone, but Sigma women process things differently. They can sit with betrayal, setbacks, and silence and feel nothing but clarity because they're not surprised. They never expected ease. What they expect is themselves to show up, to solve it, to survive it. This doesn't make them cold. It makes them clear, grounded, lethal in the calmest way possible. They've accepted that no one's handing out guarantees. And that's exactly why they've built a mindset that doesn't need any. Once you stop expecting life to be fair, you stop being fragile. That's the Sigma advantage. They didn't harden from bitterness. They sharpened from truth. 5. They've buried the fantasy of a rescue arc. While most are still waiting on someone to show up and fix their life, Sigma females already know how that story ends. They've outgrown the daydream that someone will swoop in, understand them perfectly, solve their problems, or carry the weight they've been holding alone for years. That illusion is gone. They've grieved it like a lost friend. And in that grief, something powerful was born. When you stop expecting someone to save you, you begin saving yourself. Not because it's heroic, but because it's necessary. Sigma women have learned how to get through things on their own, even when it feels unfair, even when it hurts like hell. They've learned how to sit in silence without being swallowed by it. They figured out how to get back up when there's no applause, no comfort, and no one checking in. Most people break when the support system vanishes. Sigma females build a new one. It might be made of routines, personal discipline, purpose, or silence that speaks louder than any friend ever could. But they build. They keep going, and they stop giving their power away by waiting on someone else to hand them direction, love, or peace. There's something unshakable about a woman who has walked through fire with no witness. When she laughs, it's earned. When she says no, it's final. And when she walks away, she's not bluffing. This kind of strength doesn't come from having everything figured out. It comes from having nothing figured out and showing up anyway, every single day. They are not jaded. They are awake. Awake to the truth that no one is obligated to save them. And somehow, that truth doesn't destroy them. It frees them. That is the Sigma edge. Quiet, fierce, unbothered, and absolutely unstoppable. 6. They are their own first responder. When things fall apart, when the pressure gets too heavy, when the world goes silent and no one's picking up the phone, Sigma females don't panic. They don't reach for someone else to clean up the mess. Their instinct isn't to cry for help. It's to dig deep, breathe, and figure out what needs to happen next. Fast. This isn't pride. It's programming built through experience. Life has taught them one hard truth. There isn't always someone coming to save you. Sometimes it's just you, your thoughts, and the storm outside your window. And when that moment hits, they switch into survival mode, not victim mode. They don't get the luxury of falling apart for long. Even if the breakdown comes, it doesn't last. There's no time to stay on the floor when the clock is ticking and things still need to be handled. So, they talk themselves off the ledge. They slow their breathing. They organize chaos inside their mind like they're trained for it. Because in a way, they are. They've become the person they used to wish they had. The one who doesn't run, doesn't crumble, and doesn't wait for someone else to come fix things. If a plan fails, they create another. If emotions spiral, they talk themselves through it. If they hit rock bottom, they look for a ladder. There's something powerful about a woman who knows she can rely on herself. Not just when it's easy, but when everything is on fire. She becomes her own safe space, her own counselor, her own rescue team. And the world can feel that. That's why people often come to her for strength, because she radiates the kind of calm that only comes from surviving storms without help. Being your own first responder isn't easy. But once you become that woman, there's no turning back. You're solid, self-contained, and prepared for anything. 7. They prepare for disappointment like it's a weather forecast. Sigma females don't sit around expecting sunshine. They've been through enough storms to know that blue skies can turn dark without warning, so they don't waste energy on false hope. If someone shows up for them, that's appreciated. But if they don't, that's accounted for. They've stopped being shocked when people flake, when promises fall through, when support turns silent. They don't take it personally anymore. It's just part of the terrain, like rain, like wind, like nightfall. You don't curse the sky every time the weather changes. You adapt. You prepare. And that's exactly what they do. This kind of mindset makes them dangerous in the best way. While most people are crumbling from unmet expectations, Sigmas are already adjusting, already finding their next move. Their emotions aren't tied to what people should do. They're grounded in what actually happens. See, most people get wrecked because they keep expecting loyalty, consistency, and care from everyone they meet. Sigmas, they know those things are earned, not owed. They give without attachment. They support without strings. But they never confuse kindness with obligation. That's why they're so emotionally bulletproof. It's not that they don't feel. It's that they've learned how to stay steady even when the ground shakes. Disappointment doesn't destroy them. It reminds them why they built their own shelter in the first place. People often say Sigma women are distant. The truth is they're prepared. They don't get caught off guard by human inconsistency. They expect it. They work around it. And they never bet their peace on someone else's presence. So when others break promises, disappear, or fall short, Sigmas don't unravel. They nod, adjust, and keep going. That's not coldness. That's wisdom dressed as resilience, and it's why they stay standing long after others fall apart. 8. They never put their survival in someone else's hands. Sigma females don't hand out emotional power like candy. They don't stake their well-being on someone else's love, attention, or approval. That kind of dependence, it's dangerous, and they've lived enough real life to know exactly how fast things fall apart. When you let someone else hold the steering wheel to your sanity, you'll never catch a Sigma completely undone just because someone walked away. Will it hurt? Of course. But break them? Never. Because they've trained for this, quietly, for years. While others were learning how to attach, they were learning how to detach with grace. While others were practicing trust falls, they were building inner ladders to climb out alone if needed. This doesn't mean they're guarded beyond reach. It means they're wise enough to love without leaning too hard. Their backup plan has a backup plan, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. They've created systems within themselves that don't collapse when someone else withdraws. When life hits hard, and it always does, they don't freeze up waiting for someone to save them. They self-rescue. That's the difference. Where others fall into panic, they fall into strategy. Where others break down, they rebuild. And if you think that makes them cold, look closer. It actually makes them rare. Because true emotional strength isn't about being unfeeling. It's about being unshakable. It's about being able to sit in the fire and say, I've been here before and I know how to get out. Sigma women don't fear being alone because they've turned solitude into a skill. They don't beg for support because they've taught themselves to stand without it. And when the world pulls away, they don't fall. They rise. Why? Because their survival was never someone else's job. It was always their own. 9. They're not waiting, they're executing. Sigma females don't waste energy hoping the stars will align or that someone will hand them a green light. They've seen how much time people lose waiting for the right moment that never comes. While others are stuck overthinking or second-guessing, Sigmas are already deep in motion, figuring it out mid-stride. Even if it's messy, even if it's exhausting, they don't need perfect. They need progress, and they're willing to look tired, to get it wrong, to keep swinging while others are still planning their first move. Because they realize something crucial. Time doesn't pause for anyone. Life doesn't come with perfect timing. If you wait too long, the door closes. And they've had enough doors slammed in their face to stop waiting for invitations. This mindset doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from experience, from knowing that hesitation is costly. That patience, when used as a disguise for fear, is a trap. Sigas move not because they're fearless, but because they've learned how to act despite fear. They're not rushing. They're building, quietly, strategically, relentlessly. Their pace might not make noise, but their results do. People don't always see the grind, but they'll feel the shift when a Sigma woman has already crossed the finish line before others even laced up their shoes. And yes, sometimes they're tired. Sometimes they feel the weight of doing it all without help, without cheerleaders, without shortcuts. But they'd rather be exhausted from doing than regretful from waiting. Waiting is for people who still think something is coming. Sigas know the truth. Nothing is coming unless they build it. The person they need, they become her. The moment they want, they create it. The breakthrough they crave, they carve it out, one brutal step at a time. Because they're not waiting. They're already halfway there. 10. Pain doesn't surprise them anymore. Sigma females have walked through enough fire to know how it burns, how it lingers, and how it always shows up when you least expect it. But they no longer flinch. They don't get caught off guard by disappointment, betrayal, or loss. Not because they're numb, but because they've accepted pain as part of the process. They've stopped asking why it hurts. Now they ask what it's teaching them. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about understanding that pain doesn't mean something is wrong. Sometimes pain means you're growing. Sometimes it means you finally saw the truth. And other times it just means life is being life. Unpredictable, unfair, and brutally honest. Sigma women have sat with pain long enough to recognize its language. They don't run from it or try to bury it under distractions. They sit in it, learn from it, and use it to recalibrate. Pain has taught them who to trust, what to let go of, and where not to return. It's shown them their patterns, their blind spots, and their deepest strength. Most people get stuck because they treat pain like an enemy. Sigma females don't. They treat it like a signal, a sign that something needs to change, a clue that points toward growth, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. Over time, this makes them dangerous in the best way. You can't break someone who's already been broken and rebuilt themselves piece by piece. You can't use pain against someone who's already made peace with it. They've stopped fearing emotional storms. They've learned how to walk through them with their head clear and their heart steady. Pain isn't something they avoid. It's something they've mastered. And once you master pain, very little in life can throw you off track. That's the kind of resilience no one can teach. It's earned. 11. They prepare for the worst without drowning in it. Sigma females don't live in fear, but they're not naive either. They don't sugarcoat situations or tell themselves it'll all magically work out. Instead, they look reality in the face and say, what's the worst case scenario and how do I handle it? They're not afraid of the fall. They just like to know how deep it is and where they'll land if it happens. But here's the thing, they don't spiral. They don't sit there obsessing over everything that could go wrong. They don't make drama out of uncertainty. They assess, plan, adjust, and then carry on. It's not coldness. It's control. They've learned the hard way that panic burns energy, and energy is too valuable to waste. While others are busy hoping for the best and avoiding discomfort, Sigma women are quietly stacking skills, building plans B through Z, and mentally rehearsing how they'd rebuild if everything collapsed. It's not because they expect chaos. It's because they've lived through it. They know what it feels like to have the rug pulled from under them, and they promise themselves never to be caught unprepared again. This mindset gives them a quiet kind of confidence, not the fake kind you show off to impress people, but the deep kind that sits in your bones. They know how to respond to pressure. They know how to adapt when nothing goes right. And more importantly, they know how to think clearly when the world around them loses its grip. People call it pessimism. It's not. It's preparation without panic. It's staying calm in the storm because you already made peace with the fact that storms are part of life. That's the Sigma edge. They don't need perfect conditions. They just need a second to think, and they'll find a way through every time. Some people wait for a lifeboat. Sigma females learn to swim with bricks tied to their feet and still make it to shore. Being a Sigma female means waking up to a world that owes you nothing and still showing up like you own the place. Not because of arrogance, but because you've earned the right to stand tall. You've stopped looking for someone to sweep in and fix everything. You realize no one's coming. And that realization didn't break you. It sharpened you. It matured you. It made you dangerous in all the right ways. You are the kind of woman who turns silence into strategy. The kind who turns pain into perspective. While others are still waiting on signs or someone to give them permission to rise, you've already done the hard work in the dark. You've stitched your confidence together from broken pieces. You've turned every setback into a blueprint. You are not cold. You are not hard. You are simply unshaken. You don't rely on promises. You rely on patterns. You don't cling. You calculate. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. The world may call you too distant, too intense, too quiet. But you know better. You are grounded, not guarded. You are deliberate, not detached. And most of all, you are proof that a woman does not need saving to be worth something. You are the storm, the shelter, and the aftermath. You walk through life like you've already survived the ending. And that's because you have. You are not waiting to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. And that changes everything. Stay true to yourself. To all the spicy ladies make life beautiful. Thank you for watching The Spicy Ladies, and God bless.